Hello friends, I'm quite warm. This is the Kernel Reduced for August of 2019 and it's late. Right, I'm still operating in dynamic format, so as ever my notes are over there, so when I look over there it's because my notes are over there and I'm over here and I'm not prepared. I've written up, as always, I've written up what it is that I'm intending to record, hold on, but what I haven't done is loaded up any ancillary services that may be required. You know where I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to the Excel here, because Excel's where it's at, and I've decided that we will start off not in Excel, although I am for some reason now just looking at it and going, what was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, okay, right. All right, turn your attention back to the camera. Right, okay, so first off, new people. There are a bunch of you. Hello! Welcome aboard. Thank you very much for deciding to fling a shekel or two in this direction. It is much appreciated, and as much as I stooped to the low-slung advertising method of going like, come and play this fun game and you might appear in a video, does appear to work, doesn't it? Doesn't that appear to work? So I expect more of that. My intention is to gradually ramp up the number of games that are being played in and on an ongoing basis. And in fact, there are a bunch of games always being played, and there are regularly good people who are looking for additional people to play with. And I know that you're not necessarily keen on using Discord and it's some newfangled technology and, I don't know if it's going to work on my laptop and I don't really all of that. I get it. I get that. I know that some of you are a little bit resistant to it, or that you've poked it once and just kind of gone, well, I've done that and nothing appears to have happened. Kind of, well, yeah, you have to hang around for a bit. It's a real-time chat experience. Ooh, I should work in the Discord marketing team. No, it's a real-time chat experience, and what happens is you will rock up, and it will tell us that you've rocked up. When I say us, it's me and my merry team of three who help me run the show there, which is Pixelator. I'll say him first because he was first on board, and Plastic Vicar and Tolakram. Pixelator is in the Netherlands. Plastic Vicar's in the UK, and Tolakram is in the United States of America. Yeah, I'm certain of it. I'm certain he's American and not Canadian, but he is in the north bit somewhere. I'm pretty certain. I thought he was. No, someone else is in Washington State. He might be in Oregon or somewhere like that. Actually. Let's just say I've got absolutely no idea which state he's in. But basically, the three amigos and I look after the show, there to make sure that everybody's pointing in the right direction and having a rare old time. What do we talk about? Games. And funny train screenshots seem to be the order of the day. Oh, and you'll never guess what my dog did this morning. Or I'm currently drinking coffee. That appears to be it. The coffee thing I just don't subscribe to, but everything else I can more or less get on board with. So there you go. But that's what we do. We just chat, typey, and I'm there a lot. So if you ever want to just dispel the mystique, then feel free to come and jump on board and get in the chat. But the main reason for doing so is that it's a really good way to get into some multiplayer games with people who have a shared interest in not being an arse online. It's as simple as that. Occasionally we get someone who has a moment of being an arse, and then they get a bit of a talking to. Because that's not what we're about. It's about, the great unwashed. They're all over there somewhere, yelling at each other and using abbreviations they don't fully understand, thinking it makes them hardcore, but it just doesn't. But they're not here because they haven't got any money. So come on in. You've earned it. You paid for it. Anyway, message ends. Right, so yeah, Atlas. No, I wasn't going to talk about that next. That was hello, new people. I really appreciate you signing up and supporting the channel. Let's get that completely clear. As much as I have an aspiration in terms of full-timing this gig, the fact that anybody wants to support it at all is very encouraging. It's properly motivating, and apologies for this one being a little bit late this month. It's just it didn't quite line up. I usually try and get the video out within the first 3-4 days of the month, but this week my recording days and other commitments kind of overlapped in a weird kind of a way. Oh, I'll put that on the list as well. That's right. Visit. There you go. Yeah, cool. What was I talking about? Yeah, no, timing. Difficult. And on the subject of which, I've been absolutely flipping hopeless at delivering anything for Kernel School. Now, I know the chat for Kernel School has been pretty good, but I haven't given you anything new for a while. I plan on making that up in no uncertain terms. I've got a pretty good scheme that may be of value to everybody involved. It's kind of a summation of how I would restart. I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm going to do it in video fashion because it's slightly easier to digest, and then have a kind of a bullet pointed document to go alongside that. So apologies for having left you for the best part of 6 months without anything new in terms of kind of thought-provoking, thoughtful debate on the nature of video creation and what have you. And it's just down to never getting around to it. Not living up to my end of the bargain. That's what it is. Yeah. On which note, Officers Club. Yeah, I've been sucking on that front as well. I need to do something special for you guys, and I've got a couple of ideas. So I'll pursue one of those. Next week's all awkward, but this month, I think we'll make some progress on that front. So and I know you don't just sign up for the video stuff, and I know that it's more about, generally supporting the work and that kind of thing, but it's all flipping appreciated, right? This is the appreciation and I suck a bit segment, and I think we're done. Are we done on the I suck a bit segment? Yeah, I reckon we probably are. Let's talk stats. Item 2 on the agenda. Stats. Okay, so as you well know, last year the stats were all a bit... we had 1 or 2 good months last year where... Ashley? Hang on. Let me revise that. Last year we had 1 or 2 good months. No, we didn't. Last year was rubbish. We had 1 good month last year, and that was September. And that was due to a game I should know off the top of my head, but don't at the current time. Might be Railway Empire. No, too late for Railway Empire. What happened in September? It's going to immediately slap me in the face as soon as I look it up. Well, what did I do in September? Please hold. Well, it's not like you're going anywhere. You're either watching or you're not watching at this point. So, yeah, there we go. September. Where are the big numbers? That's a big number. Right, okay. Whatever it is, it will show up. And this is why I keep a spreadsheet. And if you've never seen the spreadsheet, oh doom, previously, it's Project Flipping Hospital. That's what it is. And the Starter Metropolis, and anything else in there that actually had a big impact. Oh, I bet there's a train sim video in there as well. There is. What's that? Train Sim World. Right. Yes, I had a good month from a collection of well-timed videos and the start of a new train sim Transport Fever video series, which kind of galvanizes people in. The one thing that is very true on YouTube is that success breeds success. If you get a video, let's say that normally your videos do 500 views when you stick them out, right? And that each view is worth 10 minutes of watch time. If all of a sudden you stick out a video that does 1,000 views, and your watch time is, it stays on the same scale, then for a little while after that, not only will that 1,000 view video continue to get rated quite highly, so it will continue to outperform everything else, but the fact that you've overperformed there means that the YouTube algorithm will actually recommend everything that you're doing a little bit more than it would normally. And this is why it's worth your time and effort to try and kind of engineer those moments where you are getting more traction at once. Now, the first time I saw this was back with the start of Train Fever, actually. My 3rd series of Train Fever was like a lightning rod. This was the Nordic series, for those of you who are recent joiners. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a great series or anything like that, but I'd started to build up a bit of momentum over 2 series. And when the third one hit, because part 1s do well, right? This is a fact. A part 1 will do better than any other part in the series, with a couple of exceptions. But I put out part 1 in this series alongside a tutorial on how to create your own map and another tutorial on how to do some other thing, both of which did very well, alongside the part 1 in the new series. And that kind of triple whammy gave me major uplift, which happened at exactly the right time, because a couple of weeks later, or maybe a month later, I did my first preview of Transport Fever, and that just rode an elevator. That's an escalator, it's not an elevator. An escalator upwards towards the launch of Transport Fever, which, as you know, rocket boosted the channel a bit. So when you have a successful video, it actually makes success in everything that you do. Take, for example, my series on either Overcrowd or, what's the other one that I did recently? Tech Corp. Those two underperform in terms of the number of views that they get, right? They just do. It's not my core audience, and therefore fewer people watch it. Now, pretty much all of you guys are likely to at least watch one or a couple of minutes of one of those videos, because you don't fling a couple of quid at someone unless you are a little more invested in what it is that I'm putting out. So the first episodes will have done reasonably well, but after that it always kind of drops off. Now, I aim for 10% of whatever my subscriber number is at the moment, in as far as the number of views that each video gets. And those two came up painfully short. In fact, the last month has been not great in that regard. I was doing very nicely in the double whammy of Transport Fever and Soviet Republic running side by side, because they are very similar kind of games, but with a different spin on a similar idea. And that was keeping the channel very buoyant indeed. In fact, it led to a scenario where let's go back this year. So last year, 2018, the low point in 2018 was 215,000 views in a month, which is quite a nice number. But not a good number. Not anymore. No, we can't be happy with 215,000 anymore. The high watermark last year, however, was 399,000. Right, so just getting on for double the low point. This year, we started out at 369,000 in January. Yeah, that's Project Hospital kind of going like, oh yes, let's be having you. The only reason I stopped Project Hospital was I was kind of done. There wasn't an awful lot new to kind of show. I reach a point where I get an understanding of like, are you really doing anything more new with this, or are you just kind of rehashing the same things over and over again? Reshuffle all the positions all over the place. There's no new jokes to make about people dying of real diseases. No, you've used up all the funny that ever existed for that, so stop it. So yeah, I ditched that, and we did Railroad Corporation, or whatever the hell it's called. I got it wrong with the dev team, and that didn't make me look clever. That brought in a good chunk. So in February, 508,000 views. Now we're cooking. 500,000 views in a month. Very nice indeed. Now, I set myself a target this year of hitting 10,000 views every day, and thus far I have hit it almost every day. The average is well above 10,000, but only very rarely. Today is a good example. It won't be true now because Transport Fever's come out, and that will have gone but for a couple of hours earlier today, my 48-hour was on 19,000, so I was coming up a bit short. But 10,000 plus per day has been the goal, and I've easily hit it significantly, because when we talk about March, 679,000 views. Yes. Which we in the trade call the biggest month I've ever had. I should cocoa. if the views happen, I get subscribers. So I'm less bothered about the subscriber numbers coming in, although, yes, obviously I want loads of subscribers, but only if they're going to watch stuff. If they're not going to watch it, then don't bother pressing the button. There's the precious little point in doing so. It's just arbitrarily inflating my number and making my own goal of hitting 10% all the harder to achieve. So that's less of a thing. And then, suddenly, April came along. 334,000. Dropped off a cliff. 50% of the views gone in a month. Why was that, Colonel? Why did that happen? What did you do in March that you stopped doing in April? I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember. I should know this. Maybe it was Foundation that I was doing in March alongside Soviet and the tail end of Project Hospital. No, going to have to look it up. Nope, sorry. When I think of something, I have to pursue it pretty much immediately. Right, we're there, yes. And you swing across here. What have we got going on? So there's a lot of motorsports going on in there. Yes. You know you're on the wrong tab, right? Oh. All right, do it again. That was on the backers video tab, which is why there was a lot of motorsport in there, because the backers are the only ones who see that. Right. I'm sure this is riveting, by the way. I hope it is. I'll move on to something else in a minute, but sorry, I've got a need to know, and I need to know. Right. Let's take this bit. Oh, March. I went on holiday. Did I? Might have done. You sure? I thought it was later than that. Anyway, it's this lot. Satisfactory. Oh yeah. No, these numbers all look good. So what's your problem? Why? Well, what did you stop doing? What did you have before that was incredibly strong? Ah, that's promising. What's that one? That's Derail Valley. Oh, Derail Valley. Right. Yes. So here's the thing. I only did 3 Derail Valley videos, but it was in a mix of very strong material overall. And what the upshot of that is, if I put out a video on Monday that does really well, and on Tuesday I put out one that's rubbish, and on Wednesday I put out one that's mediocre, and then on Thursday I put out one that does really well, it doesn't help, right? What I should be doing is putting out really good in a row. If I've got 3 videos I know are going to perform strongly in a week, back-to-back days is where you get the most uplift from that. And then if you've got stuff that is kind of your B series or a C series, then have that isolated from your big hitters, because your big hitters will tell YouTube, this guy is going places, and then you roll into the stuff that you're trying to find a broader audience for, and YouTube actually gives you a big push in order to do so. So my strategy at the moment is it's a bit cockeyed, because my B-series stuff at the moment just doesn't work for people. It doesn't resonate well. And that's part of the reason that I've gone back to Railway Empire, is I've decided, right, I'm going to go back to my core constituents, who are people who like game videos that involve trains in some fashion, which is why we're doing a lot of trains in various different guises at the present time. I'll blur it back out again, but I want to stay a little bit closer to my kind of core niche to try and get as many people kind of recurring viewing as possible. And I need another good overall tycoon game that galvanizes the attention like Hospital did, or like Soviet did, where they don't hit the heady heights of the train-based stuff, but they can kind of go 10%, not a problem, every time, no bother at all. In fact, if I were to go back to either of those games, I'd immediately have that back again. In fact, 2 Transport Fevers, 2 Hospitals, 2 Soviets, and a train sim a week, job's a good one. What it doesn't do is it doesn't create massive uplift, and that's why I hop from game to game to game to game to game each week, is because any one of them could fly. Now, I don't think they're going to. It's like Overcrowd, for example. I didn't think that was going to set the world alight, despite the fact that actually it was very funny to play, surprisingly funny to play. The amount of horror involved in Overcrowd was quite surprising. Right, I'm gonna do a reset on the thing, and then I'll be back in just a jiffy. Right, for some reason this has become stats in depth, so enjoy that. Then May, so April, 334, half as big as the previous month. May, 372, also just a bit. Yeah. Then June came along, 566, or as we call it in the trade, the third biggest month of all time. Transport Fever 1 launch month. Was for a long time the biggest ever, but it was beaten this year. 566, oh yes, that's more like it. And that was driven a lot by Soviet, up until I got bored. I got bored of Soviet Republic, because it's just a bit of a drag to do. And also, I got a lot of kind of critical comments in to go alongside Soviet Republic, and I suck up comments that are critical of the way that I play. I suck them up a lot, because I'm not trying to play it properly. I'm not trying to play to win. I'm trying to play in a way that makes for videos that are worth watching. But once in a while, it does, it does kind of make you go, yeah, flipping, all right, yeah, give me a break. Either you just enjoy being a jerk, or or you just don't understand what I'm about. Regardless, most of the time that's water off a duck's back. I can suck that up all day long, but once in a while it just kind of gets under my skin a little bit. And so so I took a break from it, because I just went like, no, I'm bored of this. I'm fed up of just getting hassle every week, because I do read every single comment. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I tell you, if I get bigger, the number of negative to positive comments is going to start shifting a bit. Right now, 90+% positive with everything. Even if it is, you're doing it wrong, you're such a Charlie, but I'm loving the series. Love those comments. Those are absolutely fine, because those are people who get it, and they're fine with it. And equally, the people that just kind of go, I'm currently face palming as hard as it is possible to face palm. Love those comments too. But it's the ones that are a bit more personal, a bit more abusive, that just occasionally. But, I'm happy and joyful, and therefore I care about nothing. La, 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 la. And to be honest, it's absolutely fine. I've spent my entire kind of professional career dealing with people who do nothing but hurl abuse. And frequently it comes in my direction. Being as, if you're the messenger for a company that makes games, dig in there, Tiger. It's going to suck, because the messenger is not only shot, they're shot and then paraded through the streets while a nun rings a bell yelling shame. So yeah, you do learn to suck it up and not take it personally. But it's slightly more challenging to not take it personally when it is you as a persona that is the kind of thing on display. That's fine. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. You look happy, smiley face. Look. Yeah, that's the other bit that doesn't come through very often in my videos, but it does come along routinely when something tickles me. Is that I'm a happy individual. I really am. I take a lot of things very, very seriously, but I do this because I just love the hell out of it. It's just such good fun. Having a bunch of people who I'm basically just having a chat with while I'm tinkering around and mucking things up. It's what I was put here to do. Frankly, is have an audience who kind of tolerate and forgive what it is that I get up to. So that's all good. But just occasionally, Soviet Republic. Go back and read some of the comments. Right, just go and read a few. Sometimes the commenters stick out. There's one or two on Transport Fever who make themselves known. And that's fine. When it's one or two people, I can kind of go like, yeah, go on, and what bucket of joy are you going to tip over me today? But the number on Soviet Republic was really, really more than I expected. So it ground me down a little bit. So I went like, sod it, I'll pull the series. Right, okay, moving on. No, what happened in June? Why do we care? Because June was quite big. Okay, thank you. Oh, that's Railroad Corporation. With Railroad Corporation, I was in the right place at the right flipping time. Oh yes, I was #1 video out the door on that one, or very close to #1 video out the door, or I was only up against a few scattered individuals who are not Mr. Trains. Yeah, that's it. I am now Mr. Trains. That's me. Just accept it. Gather the audience in your arms and ride off into the sunset with them. You are Mr. Trains. You are not Mr. Serious Trains. Nope. You're not Mr. Casual, light and fluffy Trains. You're not Mr. Try Hard, Get It Right Trains. You are full-on Mr. Trains. I need to either increase my love of trains or fake the hell out of it, or just keep doing what you're doing. Well, that's an idea, isn't it? Because I am resonating very nicely with train fans, I think is the way that they should be described. And you know what? I'm fine with that. There's a few channels out there that cover train-based stuff, and while they are absolutely on point in terms of their knowledge and their experience and their intricate understanding of how all of these go on, there isn't an idiot who supports that community. There isn't a joker in the mix until now. That's me. I am the joker in the trains mix, because I like a train. I've said this before, but I'm saying it again. I like a train, but I would never go so far as to describe myself as a train fan. I'm a train appreciator. I like games that have trains in. And I mean, you've only got to watch, a dozen or so Transport Fevers to see me on a regular basis set up shots to watch the train go past, because that looks great. And it does. I have no idea what wagons are supposed to go with it. And you know what else? I don't care. It just looks great. I try and get it so it looks right, but it just looks great. So that's my level of fandom right there. But I'm Mr. Trains. I'd say I'm resigning myself to the fact, but actually this is a corner I've driven into of my own volition. I didn't have to start covering Train Sim. Didn't have to do it in the slightest. In fact, I was apprehensive about doing it, given that I've done work with Dovetail in the past and am doing work with them currently. I thought, this is a blurring of the lines you don't really want to do. But I did it. And you know what? I'm very happy with it. The Trains gang who get what it is that I do absolutely love you guys. And those guys beyond who also get it but aren't in this particular clubhouse absolutely love it. The comments that I get back on the train stuff is just tremendous. They are so kind of life-affirming and kind of purpose-fulfilling and all of that kind of business. It's just so heartening. And it's got and it's always like, please do some more, please do some more of this. You've got to do some more of this. This is just great fun. And so I will, and I'll rededicate myself to that purpose. On which note, I've got a train sim coming out tomorrow. I say tomorrow because I'm recording this on Thursday and it's booked for Friday, but this might not get uploaded till Friday. So let's just say Friday. On Friday there will be a train sim video. Is it one of my? I'd say, because I like to kind of self-reflect on how good a video it is. It's pretty good. My commentary's pretty strong in that one. It's quite, zippy commentary. It's not the funniest one I've done by a long way. But the commentary's all pretty zippy all the way through it. And it's always a challenge. And it's what I struggled with when I first started doing it. Until I came up with the passenger announcement bit. So pleased that thought occurred to me. That just makes life so much easier. If in doubt, passenger announcement. Run out of things to say, passenger announcement. Makes the dream come together, that does. But no, I didn't run out of material once in this one, so there's only one passenger announcement. It's right at the end. Next week, however, I'll be covering the Train Sim World, because that's out next week. So I'll be in there and trying to get in early doors. You'd think, with me doing work for the company, that I'd have some kind of special access to do videos ahead of time. Nah, same time as everybody else, no flipping favoritism. I kind of go like, why not? I'm kind of the biggest channel that covers this flipping stuff. In the first, wouldn't you just want to just? But that conversation really goes nowhere. And since it's with my boss, I'll kind of leave it at that, really. So there you go. I have said what I do for them, incidentally. I put it in the secret message, which I'm getting better at doing. There is a secret message in each video I stick up now. I don't know why. There just is. But I explain what I do. What do I do? Well, based off 20 years of speaking to gamers and talking to them and understanding what they need and like and care about and so forth, I'm doing that on a kind of intensive basis for Dovetail, where I do a lot of surveying and I do playtesting and I do stuff like that for people who are very keen on trains, all the way out to people who are less keen, all the way out to people who kind of like them but don't care that much, right? And I also do the same on their fishing game as well, of which I have very limited knowledge of fishing, but I have a great deal of knowledge about how to ask questions of gamers in such a way that you have not led them in the slightest and you're not pre-biasing the answer. And the purpose behind that is to kind of go like, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you can improve, this is what they'd love, these are the other things that they like doing, and then they can, the company itself can make a better decision about how they do things in the future as a result of that. So there you go. So that's kind of what I do. Right, I've gone way off mark. Are we still on stats? Stats was supposed to be 30 seconds. I was going to go in and out on stats today and then just press forwards. Anyway, July. The numbers were down to 421. Still good enough for the year, easily good enough for the year. That's because that's averaging out around 15,000 views a day. Good, fine, absolutely happy with that. And that was 1,100 new subs in a month as well, which is great. I was seeing estimates earlier in the year that I'd pass 50,000 subscribers in late September, early October. No chance. Not unless I managed to do a bolt of lightning video in the interim period anyway. I'll tell you, when Transport Fever 2 comes along, unless I screw the pooch on that in a significant fashion, that's the point at which I'll pass 50k. Unless, of course, there is no interest outside the bubble that I already have. But I tell you what won't cut it. What won't cut it is the approach that I used last time round won't be good enough. And I already know what I'm going to do on that front. And that is the point at which I'm likely to completely evolve. Oh, steady on there, Tiger. That's big talk. Oh, dear. Right. Now, I went on holiday early this year and I spent a week writing up notes on a kind of a new thought process, a new strategy behind the channel. I've done that to kind of 75% of what I intended to do, which is great. Having a good idea is all well and good. Following through on it is the bit that actually matters. Followed through on that to kind of 75%, and it pretty much worked. I got good payoff from that. Pursuing it any further than that, not really necessary. The next evolution, however, is to do fewer videos. It has to be to do fewer videos or to invest more time in each individual video. And I can't have it both ways. I can't continue doing 8 videos a week, 9 in a week where I'll do one of these or another exclusive like this. So the 8 in a week is obviously Monday through Sunday, public, and then a backer exclusive video. Shall I cover this now? Sure. Loving Kerbal. Absolutely loving it. It's great fun. And I'll continue to cover that until we get to 20, and then I'll put it to the people again whether I should continue or move on. Or if I feel like I've got nothing fresh to say on the subject, and that's my golden rule basically, is if you think you have hit a point where you're just repeating yourself, stop it then. Move on, find something else. There are plenty of things I can move on to. I can do stuff that I've covered on the main channel and bring it over and do that as an exclusive. I'm quite happy doing that. But anyway, we'll cover that later. But yeah, when Transport Fever 2 comes along, I've got an idea in my head for how I can make better videos. And better is what it takes. My quality is not high enough. That's holding me back. As much as there is quality within my commentary, and I'll chunter on for a bit, and then occasionally I'll say something which is properly good. And that can either be just a nice turn of phrase that you know, to listen to, you just kind of go, he's got away with words, that one. Or it can be something that is actually quite funny. My evaluation of funny, because to get anywhere doing this YouTube caper, you've got to be able to learn what good looks like from yourself, right? And this is not an ego thing in the slightest. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Your ego will get in the way, and it will tell you that everything you're doing is rubbish. You've got to get past that. For the longest time, I thought everything I'm doing it's okay, but there's nothing special about it. And so you have to listen out for, you know, in my case, given that I am very kind of, my verbal dexterousness and stumbling is part of what actually gives the channel its X factor. Where's your brain going? This is not I'm not trying to give you an example of what good looks like, incidentally. I just turn the taps on and see what comes out of my mouth when I do one of these, and there you go. But yeah, you have to learn where you have delivered your strongest style of material. If the game kind of offers it up, it's like it's like playing a team sport. Every game is like a teammate, basically. Overcrowd, there you go, Overcrowd, great example. When Fella Me Lad just started weeping, that was a gift. That was an absolute gift. It just set up immediately so many opportunities for me to riff off that, some of which were good, some of which weren't, but as soon as I started going like, oh, this is wonderful, inwardly, then outwardly it spills out immediately. It's like doing excuse me, like doing Cooking Simulator, for example. I didn't do anything deliberately there. The only thing I did deliberately was I threw stuff rather than put it down. I thought, it's an obvious gag, but I'm going to do it anyway. And you know what? The more you do an obvious gag, the funnier it gets, unless you're kind of really hamming it up. And I hammed it a bit, but mostly it was just, I made it look casual where I just tossed stuff around the kitchen. But every plate I broke in those 2 videos was accidental. When stuff fell off plates, accidental. When the fish went missing, completely accidental. Picking up the pot of potato water and selling it as soup, totally accidental, right? And those happy accidents, some games, and Playway are particularly good at this, is setting up happy accidents. Those happy accidents just make it an absolute joy to make a video on, because you effortlessly start to hit the zone as far as, quality stuff comes out. And dialing back to being Mr. Trains, just for a moment. The train stuff will be my bread and butter, undoubtedly, until I decide that I'm going to pivot into something else, which I don't see happening anytime soon. While I'm kind of aggressively pursuing growth, I need to continue nourishing the subscribers that I already have. Make sure that I'm delivering what they subscribed for in the first place. Later on, maybe I shift direction slightly, but I doubt it will be very far, because the reason I'm covering these things is because I play them. Train sim, actually not so much. It's not my cup of tea. Once in a while, yeah, I'll go, I fancy driving something. But these days, I cover it purely because it makes for decent videos in terms of the performance of those videos. Where was I headed? Yeah, who knows? Oh, but the Playway stuff, the 3 and outs that I do on tourist bus sim, right? That was pretty good. Yeah. That was the Thief Simulator. That was pretty good, right? The reason I do those is they're a palate cleanser. It's nice to comment on stuff that I don't normally, while still pulling in the endless number of kind of pop culture references that I've got at my disposal, and my means of berating little AI people who are running around the screen. So those kinds of things, they perk things up a little bit. It's like U-Boat that I've got going on at the moment. Now, I didn't want to do a 3rd one because I wasn't feeling it after 2. What I wasn't feeling, I thought the game had plenty of merit, but the control of it was just... annoying me. I had to edit out quite a bit from both of them, and those edits were reasonably seamless, purely because I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I'm not stupid. I will read instructions if I get stuck. I will, line by line, move my mouse across the screen to find the button that does something. But it just eluded me, some of the control stuff on that. But there's one more coming. I'm going to do one more for this weekend. But after that, no. I'd love to do a series on submarine games, but I think actually the secret to success there is just to gradually build up a playlist of more and more different submarine experiences. Wolfpack was a lot of fun to do. Wrong crew. Now, I've got nothing against the crew who came with me because you're both watching. But it wasn't the right crew. Getting a multi-person chat video to work is really, really difficult because there needs to be an unspoken kind of connection between you to kind of make these things work. It's why me and Stegs just popped immediately. The interplay between Stegs and myself just immediately worked because we're both playing characters at the same time, and those characters are in a chalk and cheese kind of a fashion. Don't get me wrong, my character is just me amplified a little bit. And then that's amplified in what are you flipping, what are you going to do about it? Oh, I don't know. Right? That's an exaggeration of what I do normally, but it's all me. Stegs is an exaggeration of what he's like normally, but it's all him. But there was, and I guess it's because we worked together for a couple of years before we started recording together, there was just an unspoken now's your bit, and then now's your bit, and that's going to lay over the top. And knowing full well, if I say to him, be careful doing that, is kind of I don't need to explain that that's a green light for him to screw it up as violently as he likes. And the more people watch a double act doing their thing, the more it's obvious. When the audience knows that something's about to happen because they've seen this happen so often before, they're already starting to laugh on the inside before it's even occurred. And that's watch great sitcom writing. Now I'm gonna call it. I mean, there's plenty of obvious ones out there, but one that is underappreciated is Friends. I know. There you go. I surprised you, didn't you? Now, I doubt there is anybody watching that's not seen at least one episode, and maybe you were annoyed by it, maybe you watched the whole thing religiously, but in the kind of the middle series of those, the writing is really, really clever. The scene open, actually I'm going to restart this, because I'll tell you why. And again, for those of you who are new, my camera only records 25 minutes of footage at a time, so every time I have to restart it, it's because I'm coming up on 25 minutes. Right, Friends. Anatomy of a Friends scene when their writers were really kicking it. Scene opens, and there'll be interplay between a couple of the characters, and one of them will say something that gets a laugh. It'll be a smart ass line, or it'll be quite funny, or it'll be, it'll just be a good line. And an awful lot of the funny in Friends, apart from, certain different examples, a lot of it is verbal humor. It's the interplay between the characters that makes the laugh happen. I'm not suggesting that I sit rolling around laughing my face off at Friends, apart from Matthew Perry, but he's the good bit. But actually, this time around, we watched a series of it just randomly a couple of weeks ago, and Jennifer Aniston is incredibly underrated in that show. At the time, it was like, oh, isn't she pretty? And she got nice hair. But actually, her comic performance is really on point. I digress. There's a first. Right, yeah, two characters enter, and they deliver a joke within the first 10 minutes of the scene. And it is kind of a minor joke, like a 30-40%. It's a bit of a, kind of a joke, right? Good enough to keep the scene rolling along. There'll be then some banter between all the people in the scene, blah, 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 blah. And then they exit the scene, but they will reference back to that first joke in a way that makes it funnier. It's very tight writing because they set up a joke at the beginning, but they make it feel like they have already delivered on that joke. And so then when they manage to refer back to it or reference it later on in the scene, it doubles the impact of it. There's some very smart writing in there. And if you're bothered, next time you see an episode from kind of the middle series stuff, not all the Ross and Rachel rubbish, just that's for that kind of audience. It doesn't bother me, but some of the interplay in it is very, very good. But that's what leads an audience, basically, is they like the characters, they know the characters, and that each character is somewhat a caricature as well helps significantly. Is like you kind of go, well, that's the nerdy one, and that's the kooky one, and it helps the audience bond with those characters. So when you're doing video of this kind, where it's Let's Play, but you're doing it with more than one of you, what you don't want to be doing is having two of you who do the same style of approach to things. What you need is something that is a little bit different, where the voice is slightly off-piste. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when I collaborated with Stegs and Ali to do PUBG, we went looking for Ali because we went, right, we're two blokes, both British. What do we need that will actually make this a little bit different? And we went like, well, firstly, let's find someone who's not a bloke. Okay. And then someone who's not British. So we found an American, woman who was perfectly willing to come with us on an adventure. More for her. And it worked, but not really very well. It worked kind of, but the problem there was that actually Ali's character was really, really similar to Stegs's. And therefore there was a bit of a doubling up going on. So as much as there was a diversity in the sound of voices, which keeps things a little bit more zesty for listening in, it meant that I could just spend every episode that we did together face palming the entire time, just going like, will you two please back it in? Come on, kids, get in the car, all that kind of stuff, right? It was good, but it didn't hit the mark. What it needed was a third unique voice, and that should have been a kind of a straight-laced voice of expertise that gets increasingly exasperated as time goes on, maybe. Don't know. Further experiments are required, but I've got to wait for Stegs to escape incarceration first. I tell you, my channel would be flipping enormous if Stegs had not stopped recording. Because that was genuinely good as what was going on there. As much as the scale that I'm at now is driven purely by my train stuff, and a few other bits and pieces, and the style in which I deliver it, the level of excellence in video entertainment that was me and the boy Wanda was a step above me on my own. Just much better. And some people will prefer me on my own. Some people will prefer Stegs on his own. But sticking the two together, the number of times that funny hit the mark was exceptional. And catchphrases as well. My goodness me, so many catchphrases. Right, there you go. Where was I headed with that one then? Oh yeah, so Wolfpack. Yeah, I've did 1-2 attempts at Wolfpack with a crew, and it was completely average gaming, who was larking about on the boat the entire time. There's only room for one person who doesn't know what they're doing at all. Also, you were slightly off point, right? You don't usually play as the person who doesn't know what they're doing or who larks about the entire time. You are far more focused on doing the task, even if it's not perfect, right? You were playing against character, and that's why it didn't quite work. I'm not saying it was bad, it just didn't quite pop. And then Hayes, who, point him at a submarine game and he's happy like a puppy. Hayes was the expert. Right, so me playing in my normal kind of fashion is very straightforward. I come up with a plan that I think should be good. That plan has no basis in will the game allow you to do that. Has no basis in is it going to work. but it's a plan, and we're going to do it. And I sound utterly convinced that it's going to work. And I'm not too detail-focused. Right, point us that way, shoot it, get on with it. Right, voice of authority, not too bothered about minutiae. That's my thing, right? And it kind of worked. And the Wolfpack video is pretty funny. But it's funny because I will routinely say, no, it's fine, they missed, and then we immediately get hit. That's easy jokes, that's easy jokes. Because if they do miss, you then kind of go, see, told you. Right, moving on. We've obviously got them scared. They can't aim for toffee. Well, let's go rough them up. Let's go and shove a torpedo up the kazoo. Right, it's all standard stuff, but context is absolutely everything. So I haven't managed to find teammates for this kind of stuff, and it's really tricky. How did I get onto this? Submarines. Palate cleansing from trains. Right. Okay, now then, I've got 2 more items to cover, and I'm already running very long this month. The 2 items to cover. Number 1. Bad Company games. We touched on this earlier with Discord. But Atlas is clearly doing very nicely. We've had 50 players now come through the Atlas server. 50. Brilliant! That makes it our most well-attended game so far. And you know what? We're having a lot of fun. The problem at the moment, the problem that will come up is the standard survival game plateau, where you've accomplished a lot. You've got a lot of accomplishments behind you, and therefore the struggle for progress becomes less of a concern. So my goal on that front will be to gradually expand the land in which we can play, while then having curated game experiences. So you might be rubbish at fighting other people in video games. It doesn't matter, right? You will have fun doing this idiot gold event that I've got running this weekend. I promise you'll have fun, and the worst thing that will happen is that you'll get shot up a bit with equipment you don't particularly care about, and you'll get some gold out of it at the far end of it. And you'll appear on the stream. It will be fun because what you're not playing with is a bunch of pit vipers. You're not playing with people who do this stuff all the time and can shoot the wings off a house fly at 500 yards. No, you're playing with a mix of people playing on really quite ropey PCs and other people who couldn't hit a barn door if they were sitting on the handle. No, I've not quite got that right. Regardless, I did. The level of incompetence should be pretty high. The level of flailing about aimlessly should be pretty high. But curated events. The next curated event I'm going to do after this one will be a boat race. I will commission boats for this race. They will all be identical. No special leveled up boats will be permitted. Every boat will be absolutely identical. 2-person crew on each one. Both pirates and civilians will be invited to take part. No guns, straightforward racing. But with every boat being identical, it will come down to seamanship. Yes! Proper sailing. I am doing an esports series in Atlas, and you are invited to be a contestant, nay, celebrity. And there it is. Since quite a few of you joined to play Atlas, why not? The other one I've got at the moment is the football season has just started again. American football, right? If you've got a passing interest in American football, pay attention. If you've ever played Football Manager, pay attention. It is the fusion of the two, played online, where the entire league is Bad Company members. We've got one open team at the moment. If you want it, hit me up with a comment to say, I want it. Or scroll down like 2 or 3 posts. There's a link to go and get signed up for it. The season is literally just about to start. Like 2 days away from... no, we've got one more pre-season game. 4 days away from starting. 5 days away from starting. Oh, so close. But it's everything that's happening so far in the off-season. This one smells like it's going to be a corker as far as seasons are concerned. It's going to be an interesting one. And I don't think I'm going to do as well as everybody expects me to do. But there you go. Right, there you go. Anything else on the list? One more. I'm going to YouTube on Monday. How exciting. I'm going to go to YouTube's office in London. I was invited to go along to a session that they've got for kind of middle to larger size channels. They do these training sessions on a regular basis, so that I've been invited along to one. But this one has an angle of teaching you everything you need to know about television. And I went, that sounds interesting. I've never worked in TV. I've never been to a TV studio. I've never worked with broadcast or anything like that. Done tons of streaming, ranging from the stuff that I do up to $100,000 budget trucks outside with all of the AV gear, everybody wired up and lighting all over so I'm interested to see whether there's any differences in that. But they've got like a dozen different things that you could go and get some kind of guidance on, and the ones that I've looked at are producing, directing, and kind of vision mixing, graphic overlays, and that kind of stuff. Purely because if I pick up one tip over the course of the day that actually makes me a little bit more zesty at this stuff, it was worth doing. So there you go. So I'm quite excited about that. I know exactly where their office is. I used to work next door to it, but I've never actually been in there. I've even done the training session to go and do... There's a virtual training session to use their recording studios that they've got at YouTube headquarters. Never used it. My intention was to go and book a couple of full day sessions, because you can book them out like for the entire day, and record a bunch of 2-camera stuff with Stegs that we could then cut into a series. But then he started deciding he couldn't do any more videos. Flipping people. Right, I've gone on for more than long enough. Anyway, thank you ever so much for your support. It really is. It's very encouraging and it's greatly appreciated. And I hope that you feel, that you are valued. And that value is no. No, thanks. Basically, it's great of you, and I appreciate it a considerable amount. Right, I shall go get back to work. I don't know what I'm going to do now, actually. Cheerio.